there are family members who died in the war that the Trump administration can't explain. And what does Trump do? He sends a fundraising email out using a photo of the casket of one of these soldiers. It's beyond disgraceful. This war is not just claiming the lives of men and women in uniform abroad, it's costing hardworking American taxpayers here at home. According to the Department of Defense, the Trump administration is spending billions of dollars a week in taxpayer money to fund the war in Iran. Money that they refused to invest in health care for families and providing food assistance for hungry children. Americans can't afford their doctor's visits or their groceries or gas, and we're watching the Trump administration send more tax dollars abroad. At this rate, the cost of the war could have paid for extending the Affordable Care Act tax credits and kept insurance premiums low for at least a year. Of course, Americans were already facing an affordability crisis after Trump and House Republicans passed their big ugly law to gut Medicaid and SNAP in order to give billionaires a tax cut. Now, Trump's war in Iran has caused gas prices to skyrocket across the country. The average price in California surging to over $5.50. Trump promised the American people he would lower costs on his first day. He lied to the American people, and he is betraying Americans. It's time Republicans finally join Democrats in standing up to the reckless president. Vice Chair Ted Lieu.
Thank you, Chairman Aguilar. The American economy is getting worse. The last economic report showed that GDP was revised downwards to an anemic 0.7% last quarter. It also showed that core PCE, the Fed's inflation gauge that they prefer, increase. So we have a slowing economy, increasing inflation, and now diesel has hit over $5 for the second time in U.S. history. All of this has hurt and will continue to hurt consumers even more. And what is the response from the Trump administration? I'm going to quote for you what Director of the National Economic Council, Kevin Hassett, said on national TV. He said that hurting consumers is, quote, the last of our concerns. So I want the White House to send Kevin Hassett to every single TV channel and to every single swing House district where you can tell the voters of America that hurting consumers is, quote, the last of their concerns. And that is where the administration is. They don't care about the American consumer. They don't care about people who can't make ends meet. And we're going to see what happens this November. I also now want to talk a little bit about the Iran war. I'm going to go back to a House Foreign Affairs Committee hearing. We have a Department of Defense witness for acquisitions, and we have a problem in terms of a missile shortage. How do we know we have a missile shortage? Because the president called an emergency meeting earlier this month with all the top defense contractors talking about increasing missile production. Lockheed has said they are going to quadruple missile production. Well, that's great. Let me just give you some numbers. Right now, they make 8 THAAD missiles a month for a total of 96 the entire year. So even if you quadruple that, it's not a lot. It goes up to about 400. And you know how long it's going to take them to do it? In their own press release, 3 years. So that's where we are. And then you have Iran that has over 80,000 drones by some estimates and other ballistic missiles. And so they're launching all of this at U.S. bases, at allied countries, and we're firing THAAD missiles and Patriot interceptors. The cost of one Patriot interceptor is $4 to $4.5 million per missile. The cost of one THAAD missile is about $12 to $15 million per missile. The cost of an Iranian drone could be as low as $20,000. This is like launching Cadillacs at baseballs. It is not sustainable. And so I urge the Department of Defense and the administration to come up with a plan to Congress as how they can sustain not only this war, but any future war, because clearly there's a huge mismatch between the weapons that the Department of Defense has and what our adversaries are able to launch at America and our allies.
Thank you, Vice Chair Lieu. Questions? Max?
You led off by describing the Iran war as unilateral. A lot of your colleagues have described it as illegal. It's clear there's huge democratic frustration with the president's actions here. Do you think that what the president has done with regards to the war in Iran could rise to the level of impeachment? And have you heard any conversations about that with your colleagues in the caucus?
No, I think that this is the president has made this action unilaterally. He has not asked for the world to buy into this. He has not asked for Congress to buy into this. So he owns all of it. But look, the impeachment piece is a distraction that nobody is talking about here with respect to Iran. What we've asked for is the president to come to Congress to show us a plan. What is your plan? What is your strategy? How do we get out of this? We're in week 3. The president said we already won. Mike Johnson saying we're winning. It's almost done, right? It seems like they're always a few hours away from hanging the next mission accomplished sign around here, and we continue to suffer. And now we're going to be stuck with the bill. And now they're talking about, right? There was rumors of $50 billion bill that they were going to send to Congress. Now they're going to, may wrap it into, reconciliation. I mean, the frustration the House Democrats have is that there is no plan or strategy. The administration, enabled by House Republicans, are just going day to day. This is like the Kevin McCarthy strategy, like survive the day is all they want to do. And it's unfortunate. It's dangerous for the American public. It's weak, and it's just wrong. And so that's what House Democrats have been saying and will continue to say throughout. Nick?
Speaker Johnson up here just said that Republicans are going to try to move a clean FISA extension. Is that something you can see Democrats supporting?
We have a classified briefing, I believe, tomorrow. I want to defer to Jim Himes and the Intelligence Committee, our judiciary counterparts who are kind of weighing into this. We want to know, House Democrats want to know, how have the reforms that we enacted a few years ago, how have they gone? What data do they have to back that up? Obviously, generally, a clean CR is a path of least resistance. That is what people can gravitate to. But I think many of us want to understand how the law has been implemented in the recent past before we, take firm positions. We'll get the classified briefing. We'll weigh in. If there are reforms that make sense for FISA, then I think there would be a willingness to look at those. But I understand the math is incredibly hard for the speaker. Counting votes and passing things is difficult for him. So, we'll see what the future holds.
I'm just speaking for myself personally. There's no way I will support a clean FISA extension. There is no way I'm going to give the Trump administration this mass surveillance authority. And it's not just the Trump administration. It is any administration, Democratic or Republican. And let's just look at what recently happened. There was a massive blow-up at the Department of Defense with Anthropic because Anthropic did not want their AI large language model to be used for mass domestic surveillance. And the Department of Defense and Anthropic disagreed on that. The NSA is within the Department of Defense. And so the Department of Defense clearly has signaled they want to use AI for mass domestic surveillance. And there's no way whatsoever that FISA, in my opinion, I'm not going to vote for a clean extension. And so that's where I am.
That's one Judish member that I think they know where he stands. Michael?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The President signed an executive order yesterday establishing a task force on fraud that J.D. Vance, Vice President J.D. Vance, will lead. The administration highlighted some states with high-profile fraud allegations, including California. Since both of you all are California Democrats, I wanted to ask if you thought the administration is using legitimate oversight concerns as a pretext to target blue states and potentially restrict access to, safety net programs like SNAP and Medicaid. Do you think that this is a pretense for them to further restrict these programs that you said were attacked in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act?
Yes, I mean, absolutely. This is, I'm curious to see the full list of the states that are involved. But
California, Minnesota, Illinois, New York, Maine, and Colorado.
Yeah, shocking that those are blue states, blue governors that they're going after. But this is just part and parcel of what the administration continues to do. We still have closer to the vice chair's district than mine. We have areas that were ravaged by a federal disaster that the administration has not owned up to the responsibilities to help assist. They are willing to hurt people. Whether it's Kevin Hassett talking about the consumers, which are you, the public, or people who suffer from a natural disaster. They are willing to have you hurt or suffer and have less resources just because you live in a blue state. It's wrong. It's not how Democratic administrations have operated in the past. I think thankfully for us, J.D. Vance has a hard time, doing any job. But we'll see. Look, if there's legitimate waste, fraud, and abuse, Democrats are always willing to engage and have conversations. There is a process to do that. There's inspector generals when the administration doesn't get those. There's inspectors general who can weigh in, provide reports to Congress, GAO reports that give us guidance where we can make these programs better. But this is just an effort to penalize blue states. It's incredibly transparent. The American public sees it. The president's just trying to give J.D. Vance a job to do, probably so he doesn't speak out against the Iran war. But that's just where we are.
Yeah. Good.
Thank you, Chairman. The Senate is moving forward with the SAVE Act this week, and polling shows a majority of Americans support requiring voter ID to vote. Are you concerned that Democrats might be on the wrong side of the issue on this?
No, not at all, because it isn't just about voter ID. This is about turning your information over as a voter to Homeland Security. This is about requiring women who don't have their voter rolls matching their birth certificates, many who have been married. This is requiring those women to get an affidavit in order to vote. This is about making it more difficult for people to vote. This isn't the SAVE Act. This is the Save Republicans Act. And that's exactly what they're engaging in. Now they've spun this whole tale to their supporters and their friends. And so now you see the MAGA universe is pushing back because they have they believe this. They believe that this can be done. They believe the president when he says this is the top priority. They believe the president when he says, I'm not going to sign anything else until I sign the SAVE Act. They have bought into it. But this isn't just, we need to be honest with the American public as well, that this isn't just about providing an ID. This is about what states' rights are. Republicans used to be the party of states' rights. Now they're the party of nationalizing the election. And this is about states being able to make decisions for themselves. There are states that require ID. There are states that are more restrictive on vote by mail. That is part of the process. Overwhelmingly, the data shows people support their local communities and their states running their elections. Overwhelmingly. Right? So why would we want to change that? Why would Donald Trump want to do that in this mid-year, leading into this midterm election? It's because Republicans know the only way they win, the only way Mike Johnson continues to be speaker, is if fewer people vote, if ballots are sent back, if they stop allowing mail-in ballots, if they stop allowing people, everybody who is able to vote, giving them the access to vote. That's how Republicans win. And so that's why they're wanting to, they're willing to spend 5 days debating or whatever it's going to end up being, debating this bill that isn't going to become law. Because they also, and you see, folks like John Cornyn take completely different positions than they have years ago, all to satisfy their base. It is so incredibly sad and disingenuous where Republicans have gone on this, but I think the American people see through it. They see that this is the Trump administration wanting to give your data over to DHS. They see the Trump administration trying to make it more difficult for you to vote. That's all this is about.
Thank you. I'm not opposed to voter ID requirements for voting. I'm opposed to stupid voter ID requirements. And the SAVE Act is insane because you know what it does? It's going to say for most people your driver's license doesn't count for you to be able to vote. So how do you prove you're a citizen? Well, hope you have a passport If you don't have a passport, you got to go try to find your birth certificate. But if your birth certificate's name doesn't match because you're a woman and married and name change, guess what? Doesn't count. So all these people, women and people who don't have passports, are going to get disenfranchised immediately. And that's why I agree with Senator Lisa Murkowski, who was a no on the SAVE Act, because she says it's going to hurt her own constituents. You're going to have all these people who can't vote because they can't prove they're a citizen. And it's not that easy to prove you're a citizen. Because again, in most places, your driver's license will not work. And you can't use a student ID. There's all sorts of IDs that people cannot use. And then what exactly is a problem that they're trying to solve? If the problem is undocumented immigrants voting in elections, that is an infinitesimal problem. Just go and research on the internet. It is so small. And why is that? Because undocumented immigrants want nothing to do with the government. Because, again, to vote, not only do you have to vote, you have to first register. How many undocumented immigrants can go, yes, I'm going to give all my information to the government that's trying to maybe deport me? No way. Undocumented immigrants just aren't going to register to vote. And if you don't register to vote, you're just not going to be able to vote because it won't match the registration roll. So this is a problem that doesn't even exist. As I just want people to understand that. It's a problem that doesn't even exist, and it's going to disenfranchise so many people. And by the way, the top 10 states with people without passports, all red states.
When it comes to the Department of Defense and Anthropic and the contract, does Congress need to step up here and set some parameters as to what is in these contracts and how the DoD can be using these major AI companies?
Yes, and I think the National Defense Authorization Act will be the first opportunity for members to weigh in from a policy perspective. If we need to add in language on the appropriations side as well, but this is a policy and a funding issue that is incredibly important. This is worth Congress weighing in, and it's something that we. To be honest, I've served on the House Armed Services Committee. I've served as a defense appropriator. It never occurred to me that an administration would come in and want to use only AI to target and to kill people and to have no humans in the kill chain making decisions. This is shocking, and this wouldn't be the case in any other administration. But that's clearly the authority that Pete Hegseth wants. And so it's scary, but because of how the administration has acted, it's going to necessitate policy. And so I think that's what Democrats want to ensure happens, and we'll take multiple opportunities in order to get there.
Thank you. So there are two issues related to this Anthropic contract. The first was mass domestic surveillance. So you just might want to ask, why does this administration so want to use AI in mass domestic surveillance? How about we just don't do mass domestic surveillance? And the second issue is having AI fully control lethal autonomous weapons. And here's the problem with that. Even the most advanced AI models still every now and then hallucinate. You just can't have a lethal autonomous weapon with an AI model that every now and then might hallucinate and have no human in the loop, as Chairman Aguilar said. So clearly there need to be reforms.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to ask you, get your reaction to Joe Kent saying that he was stepping down from his position today, and also follow up to that. Do you guys see this split in Republicans' coalition as any indication you could get Republicans to support Democrats or join Democrats on issues like war powers resolutions?
No, look, I don't have a reaction when extremists like Joe Kent say, "I'm out of here. This administration isn't doing what they said they were going to do." I think it's incredibly telling. Look, the important thing, this isn't about who can we reach out to and will Republicans support a Democrat. No, this is about the president's words, and people have believed him. Many people in the public who are purple voters, they vote red, they vote blue, they believe the president when he said he would lower the costs on day one. They believe the president when he said he would cut your utility bill in half within a year. They believed him when he said he didn't want to make investments in foreign wars or to get America in more conflicts. They believed him. This is someone who just can't be believed. And that's what House Democrats will continue to say through this year and through this administration. This is somebody who does not believe you should have health care. He does not believe you play a role in our communities and that you should be honored and lifted up, and we should be looking out for you. He wants to look out for his big business friends. He wants to look out for his family. He wants to make sure that they are well taken care of. He wants to ensure that all of his friends can do all of the insider trading that they want and can benefit themselves. But you, the American public, do not fit into that system, and that's the most egregious part of it. And I think that's the story that we'll tell through November. Last one.
Last week, James Clyburn announced his re-election efforts. He'd be 88 at the end of his next term. On the other side of the aisle, Congressman Dunn inadvertently had some of his health information revealed yesterday. When it comes to members who are older or dealing with health issues, how is the caucus advising them to go forward to help gain the trust of their constituents?
Look, that's a question between them and their constituents. If somebody is healthy and willing, I mean, very different scenarios. Obviously, our colleague from Florida has indicated he's not running again, and the question was just how long he would serve. And the president outed his private medical condition, and that's something between him and his doctors, and apparently the president now. But look, if that's a question between people and their constituents. It's the same reason why I believe the people are the best gauge of term limits. We don't need term limits. We have the public deciding every 2 years whether we are fit to serve and able to serve. With respect to members indicating that they're going to run again, look, we welcome them to the caucus. Our focus and our job right now is to make sure we have 218 people caucusing with us next January to make sure that we can put a check on this administration and to make sure that we can put people first. That's what we seek to do, and to convey to the American people that you deserve better. And that coalition will include people from all over the country, including folks who have and continue to serve their constituents quite well. Thank you so much.